Stop holding back your true power. If you think going to the gym and doing a couple of half-ass reps is gonna get you an anime level physique, you are sadly mistaken. Think about it. There's not a single anime protagonist that doesn't intend to go hard on both training and fighting. And if that's who you want to become, you gotta learn how to train hard. So not only will you look like an anime character, but you'll also be as strong as one too. I'm gonna show you how to actually train with your full power. I'll show you all the ways you can 10x the intensity of your workouts, and how you can use these methods to make progress for the rest of your life. So what does training hard actually look like? Well, picture your favorite anime character going all out in a fight scene. When a character goes all out in a boss fight, he's not going through the motions and just waiting for the fight to be over. He's bleeding out, barely clinging to life, and using up all of his strength and energy to defeat the baddie. When you see a character in that state, that's how you know they're going all out. And the closest we can get to that in our workouts is by training to failure. By training to failure, we'll be able to go all out in an exercise as an anime character goes all out in a fight, except the bleeding out part. That probably isn't gonna happen. Unless you have some really intense training, you probably don't need to worry about bleeding out. Oh, but why is training to failure so important? When you train until your muscles start to feel like beef jerky, the last few reps before that is where true growth happens. These are actually known as effective reps, and these are the reps that actually stimulate muscle growth. And you'll know when you reach these reps when you see that you're physically slower and your form actually starts to break down as you approach muscular failure. Also, by training to absolute failure, you are ensuring that every single muscle fiber you're working is exhausted completely. So you're training the entire muscle as thoroughly as you possibly can. None of you are going to make it out alive. And of course, by training to failure, you are going to be developing that incredible mental toughness. Look, it's not easy to voluntarily exhaust yourself until you can't move anymore, because the only people who like self-inflicted pain other than Darkness from Konosuba is a calisthenics athlete. So if you want to develop those anime gains fast, or you're a sadistic freak who likes to be punished, whoever you are, I'm going to show you how you can train with full power and start actually seeing gains today. The easiest way for you to start training to failure is by using a technique that I've been doing my whole life, the art of not thinking. Basically, stop counting your reps. A common mistake that beginners make is that they count their reps with the intention to hit a certain number, but not actually getting close to failure. Instead, just simply stop counting your reps and keep going until you can't go anymore. When I started doing this, I found that I was way underestimating my abilities, and I was actually able to do way more reps than I thought I could. And I knew immediately from that point I wasn't training as hard as I could have. And then once you start to get used to the feeling of training to failure, then you can start counting the reps to see what your max rep range is. Another way that you can ensure training to failure is by going beyond plus ultra. And this is a technique I also use all the time, and that is the rep promise. Take what you think your max reps are and add 2 to 3 reps onto that. Then promise yourself that you're going to reach those reps every single set. And when you do this, one of 2 things will happen. Either A, you'll quickly find out that your max reps are a lot more than you think, or B, you'll be training beyond muscular failure, guaranteeing that you're not holding back any strength and knowing you're training as hard as you can. But if that's not enough to annihilate your muscles, you are going to love the next technique. Maybe. You sadists out there, you'll love it. I know you will. Is it sadists or masochists? Masochist. You masochists and sadists too. All of you included. Welcome to the channel. Now, when your muscles are completely exhausted, you probably aren't going to be able to go all out anymore, i.e. not be able to do full range of motion. But that's not going to stop us from doing half range of motion. Let me explain. By doing lengthened partials, you can continue to train beyond failure without needing to do full range of motion. By training only the half of the rep range, which is also the range that provides the most stretch, you'll be able to completely exhaust the muscle fibers in the best position for growth, even when you can't do a full rep anymore. Now, if you actually do these are going to be pretty exhausting, but they are damn good for gains, and you'll get a sick pump. Now, while packing on more reps is great for achieving muscular failure, it shouldn't be the only way that you achieve muscular failure. Because if you're doing hundreds, thousands, millions of reps, you are going to be very limited by your endurance and your cardio. You also probably don't want to spend hours on a single set just trying to train to muscular failure. So if you want to unleash your full power consistently, you got to know how to up the intensity of your workouts. Because it doesn't really matter if you do 5, 10, or 100 reps, as long as you're hitting that failure mark, you're still going to be making some of those juicy gains. So here are some ways that you can up the intensity of your workouts. For one, you can up the progression. By forcing your body to use more strength, you'll naturally reach failure faster. You can also increase the range of motion of your exercises by doing deficit push-ups, because more range of motion equals more harder. Pause reps are also a really good way of training. This is when you hold either the stretched or contracted position of the exercise for about 3 seconds, and then continuing the rep. Slowing the tempo of your reps can also make them a lot harder as well. And this also has the added benefit of developing more of a mind-muscle connection. But the simplest way to increase the difficulty of an exercise is just by adding weight to the exercise, which is one of my favorite ways to progress in calisthenics. But if you really want to progress in calisthenics, you're not going to get away by just training hard. To truly train hard with all of the strength that you can muster, you need to be able to train harder than last time. Because you're not truly training hard if you're not truly hard while training. Because you're not truly training hard if you're training the same way over and over and over again. You gotta make things more difficult over time, otherwise your body is going to adapt and you're not gonna make any new gains. This, of course, is known as progressive overload. Knowing how and when to up the difficulty is crucial for making gains for the rest of your life. Here's a general rule of thumb that I follow, and I call it the 15 rule. If I find that I'm able to do 15 reps of an exercise or 15 seconds of an isometric hold, then I am ready to up the difficulty of the exercise and make it more intense. Now, you don't have to follow this rule exactly. I don't all the time. Sometimes I do 15, sometimes I feel more comfortable with 8 or 10, or even sometimes less reps. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. Essentially, if a progression starts to just feel too easy for you, that is a great indicator to move on to the next progression. But if you don't really get a good feel for how easy an exercise is, or you just want to progress a lot more frequently, which is something that I also do as well, then you can simply just progressively overload based on a certain time interval. For me, I like to use 2 to 4 weeks because it gives me enough time to adapt to the exercises while also being able to up the difficulty and intensity more frequently. And again, you don't have to follow this rule exactly. You can up the difficulty after 1 week, 3 weeks, or even 8 weeks if it feels right. You just gotta listen to your body and see what's best for you. And once you finally learn how to progressively overload, and you'll be able to develop an anime level physique, no problem, progress forever, yada yada, you the man, you the boss, booyakasha. And if you really want to develop an anime level physique, say like Sung Jin Woo, well, you could check out this video right here.